Hello and welcome back to Brendan Moyer's Playwright Corner, where I read plays, poems, or whatever's currently striking my fancy at the moment. Today we're going to be reading one of my own personal favorites of August Strindberg's, entitled A Dream Play, written in 1902. The dramatis personae are the voice of Father Indra, Indra's daughter, the glazier, the officer, the father, the mother, Lena, the doorkeeper, the bill sticker, the prompter, the policeman, the lawyer, the dean of philosophy, theology, medicine, and of law, the chancellor, Kristen, the quarantine master, the elderly fop, the coquette, the friend, the poet, he, she, doubles with Victoria's voice, the pensioner, ugly Edith, Edith's mother, the naval officer, Alice, the schoolmaster, Nils, the husband, the wife, the blind man, the first coal heaver, the second coal heaver, the gentleman, the lady, singers and dancers, members of the opera company, clerks, graduates, maids, schoolboys, children, crew, and righteous people. We'll see how well my voices don't confuse themselves. Prologue. An impression of clouds, crumbling cliffs, ruins of castles and fortresses. The constellations Leo, Virgo, and Libra are seen, with the planet Jupiter shining brightly among them. On the highest cloud peak stands the daughter of Indra. Indra's voice is heard from above. Indra's voice. Where art thou, daughter? Daughter. Here, father, here. Indra's voice. Thou hast strayed, my child. Take heed, thou sinkest. How camest thou here? Daughter. Born on the cloud, I followed the lightning's blazing trail from the ethereal heights. But the cloud sank, and still is falling. Tell me, great Father Indra, to what region am I come? The air is so dense, so hard to breathe. Leaving the second world, thou camest to the third. From Kukra, star of the morning, far art thou come and enterest earth's atmosphere. Mark there the sun's seventh house that is called the scales. The morning star is at the autumn weighing, when day and night are equal. Thou speakest of earth. Is that the dark and heavy world the moon lights up? It is the darkest and the heaviest of all the spheres that swing in space. Does not the sun shine there? It shines, but not unceasingly. Now the clouds part, and I can see. What seest thou, child? I see that earth is fair. It has green woods, blue waters, white mountains, yellow fields. Yes, it is fair, as all that Brahma shaped. Yet in the dawn of time was fairer still. Then came a change, a shifting of the orbit, maybe of more. Revolt followed by crime which had to be suppressed. Now I hear sounds arising. What kind of creatures dwell down there? Go down and see. The Creator's children I would not decry. It sounds as if it has no cheerful ring. So I believe. Their mother tongue is called complaint. Truly a discontented, thankless race is this of earth. Oh, say not so. Now I hear shouts of joy and blare and boom. I see the lightning flash. Now bells are pealing and the fires are lit. 1,000 voices rise, singing their praise and thanks to heaven. Thy judgment is too hard on them, my father. Descend and see, and here then come again and tell me if their lamentations and complaint are justified. So be it. I descend. Come with me, father. No, I cannot breathe their air. Now the cloud sinks. It's growing dense, I suffocate. This is not air, but smoke and water that I breathe. So heavy that it drags me down and down. And now I clearly feel its reeling. This third is surely not the highest world. neither the highest truly nor the lowest. It is called dust, and whirls with all the rest. So at times its people, struck with dizziness, live on the borderline of folly and insanity. Courage, my child, for this is but a test. Daughter, on her knees as the cloud descends. I am sinking. The curtain rises on the growing castle. The background shows a forest of giant hollyhocks in bloom. White, pink, cinnamon, sulphur yellow, and violet. Above this rises the gilded roof of a castle with a flower bud crowning its summit. Under the walls of the castle lie heaps of straw and stable muck. On each side of the stage are stylized representations of interiors, architecture, and landscape which remain unchanged throughout the play. The glazier and the daughter enter together. Daughter, the castle keeps on growing up out of the earth. Do you see how it has grown since last year? Glazier to himself. I've never seen that castle before. And I've never heard of a castle growing, but... To daughter with conviction. Yes. It's grown 6 feet, but that's because they've manured it. And if you look carefully, you'll see it's put on a wing on the sunny side. Ought it not to bloom soon? We are already halfway through the summer. Don't you see the flower up there? Yes, I see it. Father, tell me something. Why do flowers grow out of dirt? They don't like the dirt, so they shoot up as fast as they can into the light, to blossom and die. Do you know who lives in the castle? I used to know, but I've forgotten. I believe there is a prisoner inside waiting for me to set him free. What will you get if you do? One does not bargain about what one has to do. Let us go into the castle. Very well, we will. They go towards the background, which slowly vanishes to the sides, disclosing a simple bare room with a table and a few chairs. A screen cuts the stage in two, the other half unlighted. A young officer in an unconventional modern uniform sits rocking his chair and striking the table with his sword. The daughter and the glazier enter. She goes to the officer and gently takes the sword from his hands. No, you mustn't do that. Officer, please, Agnes, let me keep my sword. But you are cutting the table to pieces. To the glazier. Father, you go down to the harness room and put in that window pane. We will meet later. Exit glazier. You are a prisoner in your own room. I have come to set you free. I have been waiting for this, but I wasn't sure you would want to. The castle is strong. It has 7 walls, but it shall be done. Do you want to be set free or not? To tell the truth, I don't know. Either way, I'll suffer. Every joy has to be paid for twice over with sorrow. It's wretched here, but I'd have to endure 3 times the agony for the joys of freedom. Agnes, I'll bear it if only I may see you. What do you see in me? The beautiful, which is the harmony of the universe. There are lines in your form which I have only found in the movements of the stars, in the melody of strings and the vibrations of light. You are a child of heaven. So are you. Why do I have to groom horses, clean stables, and have the muck removed? So that you may long to get away. I do. But it's so hard to pull oneself out of it all. It is one's duty to seek freedom in the light. Duty? Life has not done its duty by me. You feel wronged by life? Yes. It has been unjust. Voices are now heard from behind the dividing screen, which is drawn aside as the lights go up on the other set. A homely living room. The officer and the daughter stand watching, gestures and expression held. The mother, an invalid, sits at a table. In front of her is a lighted candle, which from time to time she trims with snuffers. On the table are piles of new underclothing, which she is marking with a quill pen. Beyond is a brown cupboard. The father brings her a silk shawl. Father, gently. I have brought you this. Mother, what use is a silk shawl to me, my dear, when I am going to die so soon? You believe what the doctor says? What he says, too. But most of all, I believe the voice that speaks within me. Father, sorrowfully. Then it really is Crave. And you are thinking of your children, first and last. They were my life, my justification, my happiness, and my sorrow. Christina, forgive me. For everything. For what? Oh, my dear, forgive me. We have both hurt each other. Why, we don't know. We could not do otherwise. However, here's the children's new linen. See that they change twice a week, on Wednesdays and Sundays, and that Louisa washes them all over. Are you going out? I have to go to the school at 11. Before you go, ask Alfred to come. Father, pointing to the officer. My sight must be going too. Yes, it's getting so dark. Snuffs candle. Alfred, come. The father goes out through the middle of the wall, nodding goodbye. The officer moves forward to the mother. Mother. Who is that girl? Officer, whispering. It's Agnes. Oh, is it Agnes? Do you know what they're saying? That she is the daughter of the god Indra, who begged to come down to earth so as to know what it is really like for human beings. But don't say anything. She is a child of the gods. Mother, raising her voice. Alfred, my son, I shall soon be leaving you, and your brothers and sisters. I want to say one thing, for you to remember all your life. What is it, Mother? Only one thing. Never quarrel with God. What do you mean, Mother? You must not go on feeling that you have been wronged by life. But I've been treated so unjustly. You're still harping on the time you were unjustly punished for taking that money which was afterwards found? Yes. That piece of injustice gave a twist to the whole of my life. I see. Well, now, you just go over to that cupboard so you know about that. The Swiss Family Robinson, which don't say any more. Which your brother was punished for. When it was you who had torn it to pieces and hidden it. Think of that cupboard still being there after 20 years. We have moved so many times and my mother died 10 years ago. Yes? What of it? You're always questioning everything, and so spoiling the best of life for yourself. Ah, here's Lena. Enter Lena. Thank you very much all the same, ma'am, but I can't go to the christening. Why not, child? I've got nothing to wear. You can borrow this shawl of mine. Oh, no, ma'am, you're very kind, but that would never do. I can't see why not. I shan't be going to any more parties. Officer, what will father say? After all, it's a present from him. What small minds. Father, putting his head in. Are you going to lend my present to the maid? Don't talk like that. Remember, I was in service once myself. Why should you hurt an innocent girl? Why should you hurt me, your husband? Ah, this life. If you do something good, someone else is sure to think it bad. If you are kind to one person, you're sure to harm another. Ah, this life. She snuffs the candle so that it goes out. The room grows dark, and the screen is drawn forward again. Daughter of Indra. Human beings are to be pitied. Officer. Do you think so? Yes. Life is hard. But love conquers everything. Come and see. They withdraw and the background disappears. The officer vanishes and the daughter comes forward alone. The new scene shows an old, derelict wall. In the middle of the wall, a gate opens on an alley leading to a green plot where a giant blue monk's hood is growing. To the left of the gate is the door window of the stage doorkeeper's lodge. The stage doorkeeper is sitting with a grey shawl over her head and shoulders, crocheting a star-patterned coverlet. On the right is an announcement board which the bill sticker is washing. Near him is a fishnet with a green handle and a green fish box. Further right, the cupboard from the previous set has become a door with an air hole shaped like a four-leafed clover. To the left is a small lime tree with a coal-black stem and a few pale green leaves. The daughter goes up to the doorkeeper. Daughter, isn't the star coverlet finished yet? Doorkeeper, no, my dear. 26 years is nothing for such a piece of work. And your sweetheart never came back? No, but it wasn't his fault. He had to take himself off, poor fellow. But that was 30 years ago. Daughter, to bill sticker. She was in the ballet, wasn't she? Here, at the opera. Bill sticker. She was the prima ballerina. But when he went away, it seems he took her dancing with him. So she never got any more parts. All complain. With their eyes and with their voices too. I haven't much to complain of. Not now I've got my net and my green fish box. Does that make you happy? Yes, very happy. That was my dream when I was little, and now it's come true. I'm all of 50 now, you know. 50 years for a fishnet and a box. A green box. A green one. Daughter to doorkeeper. Let me have that shawl now, and I'll sit here and watch the children of men. But you must stand behind and tell me about them. The daughter puts on the shawl and sits down by the gate. Doorkeeper. This is the last day of the opera season. They hear now if they've been engaged for the next. And those who have not? Lord Jesus, what a scene. I always pull my shawl over my head. Poor things. Look, here's one coming. She's not been engaged. See how she's crying. The singer rushes in from the right and goes through the gate with her handkerchief to her eyes. She pauses a moment in the alley beyond and leans her head against the wall, then quickly goes out. Daughter. Human beings are to be pitied. But here comes one who seems happy enough. The officer comes down the alley, wearing a frock coat and top hat. He carries a bouquet of roses and looks radiantly happy. He's going to marry Miss Victoria. Officer, downstage, looks up and sings, Victoria, Victoria. The young lady will be down in a minute. Woman's voice from above sings, I am here. Well, I am waiting. Daughter, don't you know me? Officer, no. I only know one woman, Victoria. 7 years I have come here to wait for her. At noon when the sun reaches the chimneys, and in the evening as darkness falls. Look at the paving. See? Worn by the steps of the faithful lover. Hurrah! She is mine. Victoria! Well, she is dressing now. To the bill sticker. Ah, a fishnet, I see. Everyone here at the opera is crazy about fishnets. Or rather about fish. Dumb fish. Because they cannot sing. What does a thing like that cost? Bill sticker. It's rather dear. Victoria! Shakes the lime tree. Look! It's budding again. For the 8th time. Victoria. Now she's doing her hair. To daughter. Madam, kindly allow me to go up and fetch my bride. Doorkeeper. Nobody's to go on the stage. Officer. 7 years I've walked up and down here. 7 times 365, I make 2,555. Stops and pokes the door with the clover-shaped hole. Then this door I've seen 2,555 times, and I still don't know where it leads to. And this clover leaf to let in the light. Who does it let the light in for? Is anyone inside? Does anybody live there? Doorkeeper. I don't know. I've never seen it open. It looks like a larder door I saw when I was 4 years old, when I went out one Sunday afternoon with the maid, to see another family and other maids. But I only got as far as the kitchen, where I sat between the water barrel and the salt tub. I've seen so many kitchens in my time, and the larders are always in the passage, with round holes and a clover leaf in the door. But the opera can't have a larder as it hasn't got a kitchen. Victoria. To daughter. Excuse me, madam. She can't leave by any other way, can she? Doorkeeper. No, there is no other way. Good. Then I'm bound to meet her. Members of the opera company swarm out of the building, scrutinized by the officer. They go out by the gate. She's sure to come. To daughter. Madam, that blue monk's hood over there. I saw it when I was a child. Is it the same one? I remember it in a rectory garden when I was 7, with 2 doves, blue doves, under the hood. Then a bee came and went into the hood, and I thought, now I've got you. So I grabbed the flower. But the bee stung through it, and I burst into tears. However, the rector's wife came and put moist earth on it. And then we had wild strawberries and milk for supper. I believe it is growing dark already. Where are you off to, Bill Sticker? Bill Sticker. Home to my supper! Exit with fishnet and box. Officer, rubbing his eyes. Supper? At this time of day? To daughter. Excuse me. May I just step inside a moment and telephone to the growing castle? Daughter. What do you want to say to them? I want to tell the glazier to put in the double windows. It will be winter soon, and I'm so dreadfully cold. The officer goes into the doorkeeper's lodge. Daughter. Who is Miss Victoria? Doorkeeper. She is his love. A true answer. What she is to us or others doesn't matter to him. Only what she is to him. That's what she is. It grows dark suddenly. Doorkeeper, lighting the lantern. Dusk falls quickly today. To the gods a year is as a minute, while to human beings a minute may be as long as a year. The officer comes out again. He looks shabbier, and the roses are withered. Hasn't she come yet? No. She's sure to come. She'll come. Paces up and down. But all the same, perhaps it would be wiser to cancel that luncheon, as it's now evening. Yes, that's what I'll do. Goes in and telephones. Doorkeeper to daughter. May I have my shawl now? No, my friend. You rest and I'll take your place. Because I want to know about human beings and life. To find out if it really is as hard as they say. But you don't get any sleep on this job. Never any sleep, night or day. No sleep at night? Well, if you can get any with the bell wire on your arm, because the night watchmen go up on the stage and are changed every 3 hours. That must be torture. So you think. But we others are glad enough to get such a job. If you knew how much I'm envied. Envied? Does one envy the tortured? Yes. But I'll tell you what's worse. The night watching and drudgery and draughts and cold and damp. That's having to listen, as I do, to all their tales of woe. They all come to me. Why? Perhaps they read in my wrinkles the runes of suffering. And that makes them talk. In that shawl, my dear, 30 years of torments hidden. My own and others. That's why it is so heavy and stings like nettles. Wear it if you like. When it gets too heavy, call me, and I'll come relieve you of it. Goodbye. What you can bear, surely I can. We shall see. But be kind to my young friends, and put up with their complaining. The doorkeeper disappears down the alley. The stage is blacked out. When light returns, the lime tree is bare. The blue monkshood withered, and the green plot at the end of the alley has turned brown. The officer enters. His hair is grey, and he has a grey beard. His clothes are ragged, his collar soiled and limp. He still carries the bouquet of roses, but the petals have dropped. Officer, wandering round. By all the signs, summer is over and autumn at hand. I can tell that by the lime tree and the monkshood. Pacing. But autumn is my spring. For then the theater opens again. And then she is bound to come. To daughter. Dear lady, may I sit on this chair for a while? Do, my friend. I can stand. Officer, sitting. If only I could sleep a little. It would be better. He falls asleep for a moment, then starts up and begins walking again. He stops by the cloverleaf door and pokes it. Officer. This door. It gives me no peace. What is there behind it? Something must be. Soft ballet music is heard from above. Ah, the rehearsals have begun. The lights come and go like a lighthouse beam. What's this? Speaking in time with the flashes. Light and darkness. Light and darkness. Daughter, with the same timing. Day and night. Day and night. A merciful providence wants to shorten your waiting. And so the days fly, chasing the nights. The light is now constant. The bill sticker enters with his net and his implements. Officer. Here's the bill sticker with his net. How is the fishing? Bill sticker. Not too bad. The summer was hot and a bit long. The net was all right, but not what I quite had in mind. Not what I quite had in mind. Excellently put. Nothing ever is as one imagined it. Because one's mind goes further than the act, goes beyond the object. He walks up and down, striking the bouquet against the walls until the last leaves fall. Bill sticker. Hasn't she come down yet? No, not yet, but she'll come soon. Do you know what's behind that door, bill sticker? No. I've never seen it open. I'm going to telephone a locksmith to come and open it. Goes into the lodge. The bill sticker pastes up a poster and moves away. Daughter. What was wrong with the fishnet? Bill sticker. Wrong? Well, there wasn't anything wrong exactly. But it wasn't what I had in mind. And so I didn't enjoy it quite as much. How did you imagine the net? How? I can't quite tell you. Let me tell you. In your imagination, it was different. Green, but not that green. You understand, madam. You understand everything. That's why they all come to you with their troubles. Now, if you'd only listen to me just this once. Gladly. Come in here and pour out your heart. She goes into the lodge. The bill sticker stays outside and talks to her through the window. The stage is blacked out again. Then gradually the lights go up. The lime tree is in leaf, the monk's hood in bloom. The sun shines on the greenery at the end of the alley. The bill sticker is still at the window, and the daughter can be seen inside. The officer enters from the lodge. He is old and white-haired. His clothes and shoes are in rags. He carries the stems of the bouquet. He totters backwards and forwards slowly like a very old man and reads the poster. A ballet girl comes out of the theater. Officer. Has Miss Victoria gone? Ballet girl. No, she hasn't. Officer. Then I'll wait. Will she come soon? Ballet girl, gravely. Yes. She's sure to. Don't go. And you'll be able to see what's behind that door. I've sent for the locksmith. That will be really interesting to see this door opened. The door and the growing castle. Do you know the growing castle? Do I? Wasn't I imprisoned there? Really, was that you? But why do they have so many horses there? It was a stable castle, you see. How silly of me not to have thought of that. Moves towards the lodge. A chorus girl comes out of the theater. Officer. Has Miss Victoria gone? Chorus girl, gravely. No, she hasn't gone. She never goes. That's because she loves me. No, you mustn't go before the locksmith comes. He's going to open this door. Oh, is the door going to be opened? Really? What fun! I just want to ask the doorkeeper something. She joins the bill sticker at the window. The prompter comes out of the theater. Has Miss Victoria gone? Prompter. Not as far as I know. There you are. Didn't I say she was waiting for me? No, don't go. The door is going to be opened. Prompter. Which door? Is there more than one door? Oh, I see. The one with the clover leaf. Of course I'll stay. I just want to have a few words with the doorkeeper. He joins the group at the window. They all speak in turn to the daughter. The glazier comes through the gate. Officer. Are you a locksmith? Glazier. Nah, the locksmith at company. But a glazier's just as good. Officer. Yes, indeed. Indeed. But, have you brought your diamond with you? Of course. A glazier without a diamond, what good would that be? None. Let's get to work, then. He claps his hands. All group themselves in a circle around the door. Male chorus in costumes of Die Meistersinger and girl dancers from Aida come out of the theater and join them. Locksmith, or glazier, do your duty. The glazier goes towards the door holding out his diamond. A moment such as this does not recur often in a lifetime. Therefore, my good friends, I beg you to reflect seriously upon... During the last words, the policeman has entered by the gate. Policeman. In the name of the law, I forbid the opening of this door. Oh God, what a fuss there is whenever one wants to do anything new and great. Well, we shall take proceedings. To the lawyers, then, and we will see if the law holds good. To the lawyer! Without any lowering of the curtain, the scene changes to the lawyer's office. The gate has now become the gate in an office railing stretching across the stage. The doorkeeper's lodge is a recess for the lawyer's desk, the lime tree leafless, a coat and hat stand. The announcement board is covered with the proclamations and court decrees, and the clover door is a document cupboard. The lawyer in frock coat and white tie is sitting on the left inside the railing of the gate, at this high desk covered with papers. His appearance bears witness to an unspeakable suffering. His face is chalk white, furrowed and purple-shadowed. He is hideous. His face mirrors all the crime and vice with which, through his profession, he has been involved. Of his 2 clerks, one has only one arm, the other a single eye. The people who had gathered to witness the opening of the door are now clients waiting to see the lawyer, and look as if they have always been there. The daughter, wearing the shawl, and the officer are in front. The officer looks curiously at the cupboard door, and from time to time pokes it. The lawyer goes up to the daughter. Lawyer, if you let me have that shawl, my dear, I'll hang it here until the stove is lighted, and then I'll burn it with all its griefs and miseries. Daughter, not yet, my friend. I must let it get quite full first, and I want above all to gather your sufferings up in it. The crimes you have absorbed from others, the vices, the swindles, slanders, libel. My child, your shawl would not be big enough. Look at these walls. Isn't the wallpaper stained as if by every kind of sin? Look at these documents in which I write records of evil. Look at me. Nobody who comes here ever smiles. Nothing but vile looks, barred teeth, clenched fists, and all of them squirt their malice, their envy, their suspicions over me. Look, my hands are black and can never be clean. See how cracked they are and bleeding. I can never wear my clothes for more than a few days because they stink of other people's crimes. Sometimes I have the place fumigated with sulphur, but that doesn't help. I sleep in the next room and dream of nothing but crime. I have a murder case in court now. That's bad enough. But do you know what's worst of all? Separating husbands and wives. Then earth and heaven seem to cry aloud, to cry treason against primal power, the source of good against the love. And then, do you know, after reams of paper have been filled with mutual accusations, if some kindly person takes one or other of the couple aside and asks them in a friendly sort of way the simple question, what have you really got against your husband? Or your wife? Then he or she stands speechless. They don't know. Oh, once it was something to do with a salad. Another time about some word. Usually it's about nothing at all, but the suffering. The agony. All this I have to bear. Look at me. Do you think, marked as I am by crime, I can ever win a woman's love? Or that anyone wants to be the friend of a man who has to enforce payment of all the debts of the town? It's a misery to be human. Daughter, human life is pitiable. It is indeed. And what people live on is a mystery to me. They marry with an income of 2,000 crowns when they need 4. They borrow, to be sure, they all borrow, and so scrape along somehow by the skin of their teeth until they die. And the estate is always insolvent. Who has to pay up in the end? Tell me that. He who feeds the birds. Well, If he who feeds the birds would come down to earth and see the plight of the unfortunate children of men, perhaps he would have some compassion. Human life is pitiable. Yes, that's the truth. To the officer. What do you want? Officer. I only want to ask if Miss Victoria has gone. No, she hasn't. You can rest assured of that. Why do you keep poking my cupboard? Officer. I thought the door was so very like... Church bells ring. Officer. Is there a funeral in town? Lawyer. No. It's graduation. The conferring of the doctor's degrees. I myself am about to receive the degree of Doctor of Law. Perhaps you would like to graduate and receive a laurel wreath. Officer. Why not? It would be a little distraction. Then perhaps we should proceed at once to the solemn rites. But you must go and change. Exit officer. The stage is blacked out and changes to the interior of the church. The barrier now serves as the chancel rail. The announcement board shows the numbers of the hymns. The lime tree hat stand has become a candelabra. The lawyer's desk is the chancellor's lectern, and the clover door leads to the vestry. The chorus from Die Meistersinger are ushers with wands. The dancers carry the laurel wreaths. The rest of the people are the congregation. The new background shows only a gigantic organ with a mirror over the keyboard. Music is heard. At the side stands the 4 deans of the faculties: philosophy, theology, medicine, and law. For a moment there is no movement. Then the ushers come forward to the right. The dancers follow, holding laurel wreaths in their outstretched hands. 3 graduates come in from the left, are crowned in turn by the dancers, and go out on the right. The lawyer advances to receive his wreath. The dancers turn away, refusing to crown him, and go out. The lawyer, greatly agitated, leans against a pillar. Everyone disappears. The lawyer is alone. The daughter enters with a white shawl over her head and shoulders. Daughter. Look, I have washed the shawl. But what are you doing here? Didn't you get your laurels? Lawyer. No. I was discredited. Why? Because you have defended the poor, said a good word for the sinner, eased the burden of the guilty, obtained reprieve for the condemned? Woe to mankind! Men are not angels, but pitiable creatures. Do not judge men harshly. It is my business to plead for them. Daughter, leaning against the organ. Why do they strike their friends in the face? They know no better. Let us enlighten them then. You and I, together. Will you? There can be no enlightenment for them. Oh, that the gods in heaven might hear our woe. It shall reach the throne. Sits at the organ. Do you know what I see in this mirror? The world as it should be. For as it is, it's wrong way up. How did it come to be wrong way up? When the copy was made. Ah, you yourself have said it, the copy. I always felt this must be a poor copy. And when I began to remember its origin, nothing satisfied me. Then they said I was cynical and had a John Dice die and so forth. It is a mad world. Consider these 4 faculties. Organized society subsidizes all 4. Theology, the doctrine of divinity, continually attacked and ridiculed by philosophy, claiming wisdom for itself. And medicine, always giving the lie to philosophy and discounting theology as one of the sciences, calling it superstition. and there they sit together on the council, whose function is to teach young men respect for the university. Yes, it's a madhouse. And woe to him who first recovers his senses. The first to discover it are the theologians. For their preliminary studies, they take philosophy, which teaches them that theology is nonsense. And then they learn from theology that philosophy is nonsense. Madness. Then there's law, serving all but its servants. Justice to the just unjust. Right and so often wrong. Thus you have made it, O children of men. Child, come. You shall have a wreath from me. One more fitting. She puts a crown of thorns on his head. Now I will play to you. She sits at the organ and plays a Kyrie. But instead of the organ, voices are heard singing. The last note of each phrase is sustained. Children's voices. Lord, Lord. Women's voices. Be merciful. Deliver us for thy mercy's sake. Save thy children, O Lord, and be not wrathful against us. Be merciful, hear us, have compassion for mortals. Are we so far from thee? Out of the depths we call. Grace, Lord, grace, Lord. Let not the burden be too heavy for thy children. Oh, hear us, hear us. The stage darkens as the daughter rises and approaches the lawyer. By means of lighting, the organ is changed to the wall of a grotto. The sea seeps in between basalt pillars with a harmony of waves and wind. Lawyer. Where are we? Daughter. What do you hear? I hear drops falling. Those are the tears of mankind weeping. What more do you hear? Sighing. A moaning. A wailing. The lamentation of mortals has reached so far. No further. But why this endless lamentation? Is there no joy in life? Yes. The sweetest which is also the bitterest. Love, marriage, and a home. The highest and the lowest. Let me put it to the test. With me? With you. You know the rocks, the stumbling stones. Let us avoid them. I am poor. Does that matter if we love one another? And a little beauty costs nothing. My antipathies may be your sympathies. They can be balanced. Supposing we tire, children will come, bringing ever new interests. You will take me, poor, ugly, despised, discredited? Yes. Let us join our destinies. So be it. The scene changes to a very simple room adjoining the lawyer's office. On the right is a large curtained double bed, close to a window with double panes. On the left, a stove and kitchen utensils. At the back, an open door leads to the office, where a number of poor people can be seen awaiting admission. Kristen, the maid, is pasting strips of paper along the edges of the inner window. The daughter, pale and worn, is at the stove. Kristen. I paste. Daughter. You are shutting out the air. I am suffocating. Now there's only one small crack left. Air, I cannot breathe. I paste. Lawyer from the office. That's right, Kristen. Warmth is precious. Kristen pastes the last crack. Daughter. Oh, it's as if you're gluing up my mouth. Lawyer, coming to the doorway with a document in his hand. Is the child asleep? Yes, at last. Screaming frightens away my clients. Daughter, gently. What can be done about it? Nothing. We must take a bigger flat. We have no money. May I open the window, please? This bad air is choking me. Then the warmth would escape, and we should freeze. It's horrible. Can't we at least scrub the place? You can't scrub. Neither can I, and Kristen must go on pasting. She must paste up the whole house, every crack in floor and walls and ceiling. Exit Kristen, delighted. I was prepared for poverty, not dirt. Poverty is always rather dirty. This is worse than I dreamt. We haven't had the worst. There's still food in the pot. But what food? Cabbage is cheap, nourishing, and good. For those who like cabbage, to me it's repulsive. Why didn't you say so? Because I loved you. Now I must sacrifice my taste for cabbage. Sacrifices must be mutual. Then what shall we eat? Fish? But you hate fish. Oh, this is harder than I believed. You see how hard it is? And the child which should be our bond and blessing is our undoing. Dearest, I am dying in this air, in this room with its backyard view, with babies screaming through endless sleepless hours, and those people out there wailing and quarreling and accusing. Here I can only die. Poor little flower. Without light, without air. And you say there are others worse off? I am one of the envied of the neighborhood. None of it would matter. If only I could have some beauty in our home. I know what you're thinking of. A plant. A heliotrope, to be exact. But that costs as much as 6 quarts of milk or half a bushel of potatoes. I would gladly go without food to have my flower. There is one kind of beauty that costs nothing. Not to have it in his home is sheer torture for a man with any sense of beauty. What is that? If I tell you, you will lose your temper. We agreed never to lose our tempers. We agreed. Yes. All will be well, Agnes, if we can avoid those sharp, hard tones. You know them. No. Not yet. We shall never hear those. Never. If it depends on me. Now tell me. When I come into a house, first I look to see how the curtains are hung. Goes to the window and adjusts the curtain. If they hang like a bit of string or rag, I soon leave. Then I glance at the chairs. If they are in their places, I stay. puts a chair straight against the wall. Next I look at the candlesticks. If the candles are crooked, then the whole house is askew. Straightens a candle on the bureau. That, you see, my dear, is the beauty which costs nothing. Daughter, bowing her head. Not that sharp tone, Axel. It wasn't sharp. Yes, it was. The devil take it! What kind of language is that? Forgive me, Agnes, but I have suffered as much from your untidiness as you do from the dirt. And I haven't dared straighten things myself because you would have been offended and thought I was reproaching you. It's terribly hard to be married. Harder than anything. I think one has to be an angel. I think one has. I'm beginning to hate you after all this. Alas for us, then. But let us prevent hatred. I promise never to mention untidiness again, although it is a torture to me. And I will eat cabbage, although that is torment to me. And so, life together is a torment. One's pleasure is the other's pain. Human beings are pitiful. You see that now? Yes. But in God's name, let us avoid the rocks, now that we know them so well. Let us do that. We are tolerant, enlightened people. Of course we can make allowances and forgive. Of course we can smile at trifles. Only we can do it. Do you know, I read in the paper this morning. By the way, where is the paper? Daughter, embarrassed. Which paper? Do I take more than one newspaper? Smile. And don't speak so harshly. I lit the fire with your newspaper. The devil you did! Please smile. I burnt it because it mocked what to me is holy. What to me is holy? Ha! Striking his hands together beside himself. I'll smile. I'll smile till my back teeth show. I'll be tolerant and swallow my opinions and say yes to everything and cant and cringe. So you've burnt my paper, have you? Pulls the bed curtains. Very well. No, I'm going to tidy this up until you lose your temper. Agnes, this is quite impossible. Indeed it is. Yet we must stay together. Not for our vows' sake, but for the child's. That's true. For the child's sake. Yes, we must go on. And now I must... Go on. And now I must attend to my clients. Listen to them muttering. They can't wait to tear one another to pieces, to get each other fined and imprisoned. Benighted souls. Enter Kristen with pasting materials. Daughter. Wretched beings. And all this pasting. She bows her head in dumb despair. Kristen. I paste. The lawyer, standing by the door, nervously fingers the handle. Daughter. Oh, how that handle squeaks. It's as if you were twisting my heartstrings. I twist. Don't. I twist. No, The officer, now middle-aged, takes hold of the handle from inside the office. May I? The officer, letting go of the handle. Certainly. As you have got your degree. Officer, entering. The whole of life is now mine. All paths are open to me. I have set my foot on Parnassus. The laurels are won. Immortality, fame, all are mine. What are you going to live on? Live on? You'll need a roof, surely. And clothes and food. Those are always to be had, as long as there's someone who cares for you. Fancy that now. Fancy that. Paste, Kristen, paste. Until they cannot breathe. Goes out backwards, nodding. I paste, until they cannot breathe. Officer. Will you come now? Daughter. Oh, quickly. But where to? To Fairhaven, where it is summer and the sun is shining. Youth is there, children and flowers, singing and dancing, feasting and merrymaking. Exit Kristen. Daughter. Oh, I would like to go there. Officer. Come! Lawyer, entering. Now I shall return to my first hell. This one was the second. And worst. The sweetest hell is the worst. Look. She's left hairpins all over the floor again. Picks one up. Officer. So he has discovered the hairpins too. 2. Look at this one. There are 2 prongs, but 1 pin. 2 and yet 1. If I straighten it out, it becomes 1 single piece. If I bend it, it is 2, without ceasing to be 1. In other words, the 2 are 1. But if it breaks, if I break it, like this, breaks it in half, then the 2 are 2. He throws away the pieces. Daughter. So much he has seen. But before one can break it, the prongs must diverge. If they converge, it holds. And if they are parallel, they never meet. Then it neither holds nor breaks. The hairpin is the most perfect of all created things. A straight line which is yet 2 parallel lines. A lock that closes when open. Closes open. A plait of hair loosed while bound. Like this door. When I close it, I open the way out for you. Agnes. Goes out, closing the door. Daughter. And now? The scene changes. The bed with its hangings is transformed into a tent, the stove remaining. The new background shows a beautiful wooded shore with beflagged landing stages and white boats, some with sails set. Among the trees are little Italianesque villas, pavilions, kiosks, and marble statues. In the middle distance is a strait. The foreground presents a sharp contrast with the background. Burnt hillsides, black and white tree stumps as after a forest fire, red heather, red pigsties, and outhouses. On the right is an open-air establishment for remedial exercises where people are being treated on machines resembling instruments of torture. On the left is part of the quarantine station, open sheds with furnaces, boilers, and pipes. The daughter and the officer are standing as at the end of the previous scene. The quarantine master, dressed as a blackamoor, comes along the shore. Officer, going up and shaking hands with the quarantine master. What? You here, old gasbags? Quarantine master. Yes, I'm here. Is this place Fairhaven? No, that's over there. Points across the strait. This is Foul Strand. Then we've come wrong. We? Aren't you going to introduce me? It wouldn't do. Lo. That is the daughter of Indra. Of Indra? I thought it must be Varuna himself. Well, aren't you surprised to find me black in the face? My dear fellow, I am over 50, at which age one ceases to be surprised. I assumed at once that you were going to a fancy dress ball this afternoon. Quite correct. I hope you'll come with me. Certainly, for there doesn't seem to be any attraction in this place. What kind of people live here? The sick live here, and the healthy over there. But surely only the poor here. No, my boy. Here you have the rich, indicates the gymnasium. Look at that man on the rack. He's eaten too much pâté de foie gras with truffles, and drunk so much burgundy that his feet are knotted. Knotted? He's got knotted feet, and that one lying on the guillotine has drunk so much brandy that his backbone's got to be mangled. That's not very pleasant either. What's more, here on this side live all those who have some misery to hide. Look at this one now coming, for instance. An elderly fop is wheeled onto the stage in a bath chair, accompanied by a gout and hideous coquette of 60, dressed in the latest fashion and attended by the friend, a man of 40. Officer. It's the Major, our schoolfellow. Don Juan. You see, he's still in love with the spectre at his side. He doesn't see that she is grown old, that she is ugly, faithless, cruel. There's true love for you. I never would have thought that flighty fellow had it in him. To love so deeply and ardently. That's a nice way of looking at it. I've been in love myself. With Victoria. As a matter of fact, I still pace up and down the alley, waiting for her. So you're the fellow who waits in the alley. I am he. Well, have you got that door open yet? No, we're still fighting the case. The bill sticker is out with his fishnet, you see, which delays the taking of evidence. Meanwhile, the glazier has put in the window panes at the castle, which has grown half a story. It has been an unusually good year this year. Warm and damp. Quarantine master, pointing to the sheds. But you've certainly had nothing like the heat of my place there. What's the temperatures of your furnaces, then? When we're disinfecting cholera suspects, we keep them at 60 degrees. But is there cholera about again? Didn't you know? Of course I know. But I so often forget what I know. And I so often wish I could forget. Especially myself. That's why I go in for masquerades, fancy dress, theatricals. Why? What's the matter with you? If I talk, they say I'm bragging. If I hold my tongue, they call me a hypocrite. Is that why you blacked your face? Yeah. A shade blacker than I am. Who's that coming? Ah, he's a poet. He's going to have his mud bath. The poet enters, looking at the sky and carrying a pail of mud. Officer. But good news. He ought to bathe in light and air. Nah. He lives so much in the higher spheres that he gets homesick for the mud. It hardens his skin to wallow in the mire, just as it does with pigs. After his bath, he doesn't feel the gadflies stinging. What a strange world of contradictions. Poet, ecstatically. Out of clay, the god Ptah fashioned man on a potter's wheel, a lathe, or some other damn thing. Out of clay, the sculptor fashions his more or less immortal masterpieces, which are usually only rubbish. Out of clay are formed those objects so domestically essential, bearing the generic name of pots and pans. Not that it matters in the least to me what they're called. Such as clay. When clay is fluid, it is called mud. C'est mon frère. Lena! Enter Lena with a bucket. Lena, show yourself to Miss Agnes. She knew you 10 years ago when you were a young, happy, and let me add, pretty girl. To daughter. Look at her now. 5 children, drudgery, squalling, hunger, blows. See how beauty has perished. How joy has vanished in the fulfillment of duties which should give the inner contentment which shows in the harmonious lines of a face, in the tranquil shining of the eyes. Quarantine master, putting a hand on the poet's lips. Shut up! That's what they all say. But if you are silent, they tell you to talk. How inconsistent people are. Distant dance music is heard. Daughter, going up to Lena. Tell me your troubles. Lena. No, I daren't. I'd catch it all the worse if I did. Who is so cruel? I daren't talk about it. I'll be beaten. Poet. Maybe. But I shall talk about it even if the black moor knocks my teeth out. I shall talk about all the injustice there is here. Agnes, daughter of the gods, do you hear that music up on the hill? Well, that's a dance for Lena's sister, who has come home from town, where she went astray, you understand. Now they are killing the fatted calf, while Lena, who stayed at home, has to carry the swill pail and feed the pigs. Daughter, there is rejoicing in that home, because the wanderer has forsaken the path of evil, not only because she has come home. Remember that. Poet, then give a ball and a supper every evening for this blameless servant who has never gone astray. Do that for her? They never do. On the contrary, when Lena is free, she has to go to prayer meetings where she's reprimanded for not being perfect. Is that justice? Your questions are difficult to answer, because there are so many unknown factors. Poet, the Caliph, Harun the Just, was of the same opinion. Sitting quietly on his exalted throne, he could never see how those below were faring. Presently complaints reached his lofty ear. So one fine day he stepped down in disguise and walked unobserved among the crowd to watch the workings of justice. Daughter, how do you not know I am Harun the Just? Officer, let's change the subject. Here are the newcomers. A white boat, shaped like a dragon, glides into the strait. It has a light blue silken sail on a gilded yard, and a golden mast with a red-nosed pennon. At the helm, with their arms round each other's waists, sit he and she. There you see perfect happiness. Utter bliss, the ecstasy of young love. The light grows stronger. He stands up in the boat and sings. He. Hail, fairest bay, where I passed youth's springtide, where I dreamed its first roses. I come now again, no longer alone. Forests and havens, heavens and seas, greet her, my love, my bride, my son, my life. The flags on Fairhaven dip in salute. White handkerchiefs wave from villas and shores. The music of harps and violins sound over the strait. Poet, see how light streams from them, and sound rings across the water. Eros! Officer, it is Victoria. Quarantine Master, well, if it is his Victoria. I have my own, and mine no one will ever see. Now hoist the quarantine flag while I haul in the catch. The quarantine master waves the yellow flag. The officer pulls on a line which causes the boat to turn in towards Fallstrand. Hold hard there. He and she become aware of the dreadful landscape and show their horror. Quarantine master. Yes, it's hard lines. But everyone has to land here. Everyone coming from infectious areas. Poet. Think of being able to speak like that. To behave like that when you see two human beings joined in love. Do not touch them. Do not lay hands on love. That is high treason. Alas, alas. All that is most lovely will now be dragged down. Down into the mud. He and she come ashore, shamed and sad. He. What is it? What have we done? Quarantine master. You don't have to do anything in order to meet with life's little discomforts. She. How brief our joy and happiness. He. How long must we stay here? Quarantine master. 40 days and 40 nights. She. We would rather throw ourselves into the sea. Live here, amongst burnt hills and pigsties. Poet. Love can overcome everything, even sulfur fumes and carbolic acid. The quarantine master goes into a shed. Blue sulphurous vapors pour out. Quarantine master coming out. I'm burning sulfur. Will you kindly step inside? She. My blue dress will lose its color. And turn white. Your red roses will turn white too. He. So will your cheeks in 40 days. She, to the officer. That will please you. Officer. Oh, it won't. True, your happiness was the source of my misery, but that's no matter. He and she go into the shed. Officer, to daughter. I've got my degree now, and a job as a tutor over there. Indicates Fairhaven. Hi-ho. And in the fall I'll get a post in a school, teaching the boys the same lessons I learnt myself, all through my childhood, all through my youth. Teach them the same lessons I learnt all through my manhood, and finally, all through my old age. The same lessons. What is twice 2? How many times does 2 go into 4 without remainder? Until I get a pension and have nothing to do but wait for meals and the newspapers. Until in the end I'm carried out to the crematorium and burnt to ashes. To quarantine master as he comes out of the shed. Have you no pensioners here? To be a pensioner is the worst fate after twice 2 is 4. Going to school again when one's taken one's degree. Asking the same questions until one dies. An elderly man walks past with his hands behind his back. Look, there goes a pensioner waiting for his life to ebb. A captain, probably, who failed to become a major. Or a clerk to the court who was never promoted. Many are called, but few are chosen. He's just walking about, waiting for breakfast. Pensioner. No, for the paper. The morning paper. Officer. And he's only 54. He may go on for another 25 years waiting for meals in the newspaper. Isn't that dreadful? Pensioner. What's not dreadful? Tell me that. Yes. Let him tell who can. Exit pensioner. Now I shall teach boys twice 2 is 4. How many times does 2 go into 4 without remainder? He clutches his head in despair. Enter he and she from the shed. Her dress and roses are white, her face pale. His clothes are also bleached. And Victoria, whom I loved, for whom I desired the greatest happiness on earth. She has her happiness now. The greatest happiness she can know while I suffer. Suffer! She. Do you think I can be happy seeing you suffering? How can you believe that? Perhaps it comforts you to know that I shall be a prisoner here for 40 days and 40 nights. Tell me, does it comfort you? Officer. Yes. And no. I cannot have pleasure while you have pain. Oh. He. And do you think my happiness can be built on your agony? Officer. We are to be pitied. All of us. All lift their hands to heaven. A discordant cry of anguish breaks from their lips. Daughter. O God, hear them. Life is evil. Mankind is to be pitied. The stage is blacked out and the scene changes. The whole landscape is in winter dress with snow on the ground and on the leafless trees. Foul Strand is in the background in shadow. The strait is still in the middle distance. On the near side is a landing stage with white boats and flags flying from flagstaffs. In the strait, a white warship, a brig with gun ports, is anchored. The foreground presents Fairhaven in full light. On the right is a corner of the assembly rooms with open windows, through which are seen couples dancing. On a box outside stand 3 maids, their arms round each other's waists, watching the dancing. On the steps is a bunch on which ugly Edith is sitting, bareheaded and sorrowful, with long disheveled hair before an open piano. On the left is a yellow wooden house outside which 2 children in summer dresses are playing ball. The daughter and officer enter. Daughter. Here is peace and happiness. Holiday time. Work over, every day a festival, everyone in holiday attire. Music and dancing even in the morning. To the maids. Why don't you go in and dance, my dears? Servants. Us? Officer. But they are servants. True. But why is Edith sitting there instead of dancing? Edith buries her face in her hands. Officer. Don't ask her. She has been sitting there for 3 hours without being invited to dance. He goes into the yellow house. Daughter. What cruel pleasure. The mother, in a décolleté dress, comes out of the assembly rooms and goes up to Edith. Mother. Why don't you go in as I told you? Edith. Because I can't be my own partner. I know I'm ugly and no one wants to dance with me, but I can avoid being reminded of it. She begins to play Bach's Toccata con Fuga, No. 10. The waltz at the ball is heard too, first faintly, then growing louder as if in competition with the toccata. Gradually, Edith overcomes it and reduces it to silence. Dance couples appear in the doorway, and everyone stands reverently listening. A naval officer seizes Alice, one of the guests, by the waist. Naval officer. Come quick. He leads her down to the landing stage. Edith breaks off, rises, and watches them in despair. She remains standing as if turned to stone. The front wall of the yellow house vanishes. Boys are sitting on forms, among them the officer looking uncomfortable and worried. In front of them stands the schoolmaster, wearing spectacles and holding chalk and a cane. Schoolmaster, to the officer. Now, my boy, can you tell me what twice 2 is? The officer remains seated, painfully searching his memory without finding an answer. You must stand up when you are asked a question. Officer, rising anxiously. Twice 2. Let me see. That makes 2 2s. Aha! So you have not prepared your lesson. Officer, embarrassed. Yes, I have, but I know what it is, but I can't say it. You're quibbling. You know the answer, do you? But you can't say it. Perhaps I can assist you. Pulls the officer's hair. Yes, it is dreadful that such a big boy should have no ambition. Officer, agonized. A big boy. Yes, I am big. Much bigger than these others. I am grown up. I have left school. I have even graduated. As if waking. Why am I sitting here, then? Haven't I got my degree? Certainly. But you have got to stay here and mature. Do you see? You must mature. Isn't that so? Officer, clasping his head. Yes, that's so. One must mature. Twice 2 is 2. And this I will demonstrate by analogy, the highest form of proof. Listen. Once 1 is 1. Therefore twice 2 is 2. For that which applies to the one must also apply to the other. The proof is perfectly in accord with the laws of logic. But the answer is wrong. What is in accord with the laws of logic cannot be wrong. Let us put it to the test. 1 into 1 goes once. Therefore 2 into 2 goes twice. Quite correct according to anthology. But what then is once 3? It is 3. Consequently, twice 3 is also 3. Officer, pondering. No, that can't be right. It can't be, for if so... Sits down in despair. No, I am not mature yet. So you are not mature by a long way. Then how long will I have to stay here? How long? Here? You believe that time and space exist? Assuming time does exist, you ought to be able to say what the time is. What is time? Time... I can't say, although I know what it is. Ergo, I may know what twice 2 is without being able to say it. Can you yourself say what time it is? Certainly I can. All the boys. Tell us then. Schoolmaster. Time? Let me see. Stands motionless with his finger to his nose. While we speak, time flies. Consequently, time is something which flies while I am speaking. Boy, rising. You're speaking now, sir. And while you're speaking, I fly. Consequently, I am time. Flies. Schoolmaster. That is quite correct according to the laws of logic. Officer. Then the laws of logic are absurd. For Nils, though he did fly, can't be time. That is also quite correct according to the laws of logic. Although it is absurd. Then logic is absurd. It really looks like it. But if logic is absurd, then the whole world is absurd. And I'll be damned if I stay here and teach you absurdities. If anyone will stand us a drink, we will go and bathe. Officer. That's a preposterous price. A world back to front. For it's customary to bathe first and then to have one's drinks afterward. Don't be so conceited, Doctor. Captain, if you please. I am an officer, and I don't understand why I should sit here among a lot of schoolboys and be insulted. Schoolmaster, wagging his finger. We must mature. Enter Quarantine Master. Quarantine Master. The quarantine period has begun. Officer. So there you are. Fancy this fellow making me sit here on a form when I've taken my degree. Well, why don't you go away? Go away? That's easier said than done. So I should think. Try. Officer, to Quarantine Master. Save me. Save me from his eyes. Come on, then. Come and help us dance. We must dance before the plague breaks out. We must. Officer, will the ship sail then? The ship will sail first. A lot of tears will be shed, of course. Always tears. When she comes in and when she sails. Let's go. They go out. The schoolmaster continues to give his lesson in mime. The maids who were standing at the window of the ballroom walk sadly down to the quay. Edith, until then motionless beside the piano, follows them. Daughter to officer. Isn't there one happy person in this paradise? Officer. Yes. Here comes a newlywed couple. Listen to them. The newlywed couple enter. Husband to wife. My happiness is so complete that I wish to die. Wife. But why to die? Husband. In the midst of happiness grows a seed of unhappiness. Happiness consumes itself like a flame. It cannot burn forever, it must go out, and the presentiment of its end destroys it at its very peak. Wife. Let us die together. Now, at once. Die. Yes, let us die, for I fear happiness, the deceiver. They go towards the sea and disappear. Daughter to the officer. Life is evil. Human beings are to be pitied. Officer. Look who's coming now. This is the most envied mortal in the place. The blind man is led in. He is the owner of these hundreds of Italian villas. He owns all these bays and creeks and shores and woods, the fish in the water, the birds in the air, and the game in the woods. These thousands of people are his tenants, and the sun rises over his sea and sets over his lands. Does he complain too? Yes, with good cause, as he cannot see. Quarantine master. He is blind. Daughter. The most envied of all. Officer. Now he's going to see the ship sail with his son aboard. Blind man. I do not see, but I hear. I hear the fluke of the anchor tearing the clay bed, just as when the hook is dragged out of a fish, and the heart comes up too through the gullet. My son, my only child, is going to journey to strange lands across the great sea. Only my thoughts can go with him. Now I hear the chain clanking, and there's something flapping and lashing like washing on a clothesline. Wet handkerchiefs, perhaps. And I hear a sound of sighing, or sobbing, like people crying. Maybe the plash of small waves against the hull, or maybe the girls on the quay, the abandoned, the inconsolable. I once asked a child why the sea was salt, and the child, whose father was on a long voyage, replied at once, "The sea is salt because sailors cry so much." But why do sailors cry so much? Well, he said, because they keep going away. And so they're always drying their handkerchiefs up on the masts. And why do people cry when they're sad? I asked. Oh, said he. That's because the eye window must be washed sometimes, so we can see better. The brig has set sail and glided away. The girls on the quay alternatively wave their handkerchiefs and dry their eyes. Now on the topmast is hoisted the signal, yes, a red ball on a white ground. Alice waves a triumphant reply. Daughter to officer. What does that flag mean? Officer. It means yes. It is the lieutenant's yes in red. Red as heart's blood written on the blue cloth of the sky. Then what is no like? Blue is tainted blood in blue veins. Look how elated Alice is. And look how Edith is weeping. Blind man. Meeting and parting. Parting and meeting. That's life. I met his mother, then she went away. My son was left. Now he is gone. Daughter. But he will come back. Blind man. Who is speaking to me? I have heard that voice before. In my dreams. In boyhood when summer holidays began. In early married life when my child was born. Whenever life smiled, I heard that voice. Like the whisper of the south wind. Like the sounds of a heavenly harp. Like the angel's greeting as I imagine it on Christmas Eve. The lawyer enters, goes up to the blind man, and whispers. Really? Lawyer. Yes. It's a fact. Goes across to the daughter. You have seen most things now, but you have not yet experienced the worst thing of all. What can that be? Repetitions. Reiterations. Going back. Doing one's lessons again. Come. Where to? To your duties. What are they? Everything you abominate. everything you least want to do and yet must. They are to abstain and renounce, to go without, to leave behind. They are everything that is disagreeable, repulsive, painful. Are there no pleasant duties? They become pleasant when they are done. When they no longer exist. So duty is altogether unpleasant. What then can one enjoy? What one enjoys is sin. Sin, which is punished. Yes. If I enjoy myself one day, one evening, the next day I have a bad conscience and go through the torments of hell. How strange. I wake in the morning with a headache, and then the repetition begins. But it is a distorted repetition, so that everything which was charming and witty and beautiful the night before appears in memory ugly, stupid, repulsive. Pleasure stinks, and enjoyment falls to pieces. What people call success is always a step towards the next failure. The successes in my life have been my downfall. Men have an instinctive dread of another's good fortune. They feel it's unjust that fate should favor any one man. So to try to restore the balance by rolling boulders across his path. To have talent is to be in danger of one's life. One may so easily starve to death. However, you must go back to your duties, or I shall take proceedings against you, and we shall go through all 3 courts, first, second, third. Go back? To the stone and the cabbage and the baby clothes? Yes. And it's washing day. The big wash when all the handkerchiefs have to be done. Oh, must I do that again? The whole of life is only repetition. Look at the schoolmaster there. Yesterday he took his doctor's degree, was crowned with laurels, scaled Parnassus, was embraced by the monarch. Today he is back at school, asking what twice 2 is. And that's what he will go on doing until he dies. But come now. Back to your home. I would rather die. Die? One can't do that. To begin with, taking one's own life is so dishonorable that even one's corpse is dishonored. And to add to that, one is damned, for it is a mortal sin. It is not easy to be human. All, hear, hear. Daughter, I will not go back with you to humiliation and dirt. I shall return to the place from which I came. But first the door must be opened, so that I may know the secret. I wish the door to be opened. Enter the poet. Then you must retrace your steps. Go back the way you came, and put up with all the horrors of a lawsuit. The repetitions, the redraftings, the reiterations. So be it. But first I shall seek solitude in the wilderness to find myself. We shall meet again. To the poet. Come with me. A distant cry of lamentation rises. Daughter, what was that? The doomed at Foul Strand. Why do they wail so today? Because here the sun is shining. Here is music and dance and youth. This makes them suffer more. We must set them free. Try. Once a deliverer came, but he was hanged upon a cross. By whom? By all the righteous. Who are they? Don't you know the righteous? Well, you will. Was it they who refused you your degree? Yes. Then I do know them. The scene changes to a Mediterranean resort. In the background are villas, a casino with a terrace, and a blue strip of sea. In the foreground is a white wall over which hang branches of orange trees in fruit. Below this, to one side, a huge heap of coal and 2 wheelbarrows. The daughter and the lawyer come onto the terrace. Daughter, this is paradise. First coal heaver. This is hell. Second coal heaver. 120 in the shade. Shall we get into the sea? Then the police had come. You mustn't bathe here. Can't we have a bit of fruit off of that tree? The police would come. One can't work in this heat. I'm gonna chuck it. Then the police would come and take you up. Besides, you'll have nothing to eat. Nothing to eat. We who do the most work get the least food. And the rich who do nothing get it all. Might one not, without taking liberties with the truth, call this unjust? What has the daughter of the gods up there to say about it? I have no answer. But tell me, what have you done to get so black and have so hard a lot? What have we done? Got ourselves born to poor and pretty bad parents. Been sentenced a couple of times, maybe. Sentenced? Yes. The ones that don't get caught sit up there in the casino, eating 8-course dinners with wine. Daughter to lawyer. Can this be true? More or less, yes. Do you mean that everyone at some time or another deserves imprisonment? Yes. Even you? Yes. Is it true those poor men aren't allowed to bathe in that sea? No. Not even with their clothes on. Only those who try to drown themselves avoid paying. They are more than likely to get beaten up at the police station. Can't they go and bathe outside the town? In the country? There is no country. It's all fenced in. I mean where it is open and free. Nothing is free. Everything is owned. Even the sea? The vast, wide everything. You can't go out in a boat, nor can you land without it all being booked and paid for. It's marvelous. This is not paradise. I promise you that. Why don't people do anything to improve conditions? They certainly do. But all reformers end in prison or the madhouse. Who puts them in prison? All the righteous. All the respectable. Who puts them in the madhouse? Their own despair. When they see the hopelessness of the struggle. Has it occurred to anyone that there may be unknown reasons for this state of things? Yes. The well-off always think that it is so. That there is nothing wrong with things as they are? First coal heaver. And yet we are the foundation of society. If there's no coal, the kitchen stove goes out, and the fire on the hearth too. The machines in the factory stop working. The lights in streets and shops and homes all go out. Darkness and cold descend on you. That's why we sweat like hell carrying filthy coal. What do you give us in return? Lawyer to daughter. Help them. I know that things can't be exactly the same for everybody. But why should there be such inequality? The gentleman and the lady cross the terrace. Lady. Are you coming to play cards? Gentleman. No, I must go for a little walk to get an appetite for dinner. Exeunt. First coal heaver. To get an appetite. Second coal heaver. To get... Children enter. When they catch sight of the black workers, they scream with terror and run off. They scream when they see us. They scream! Second coal heaver. Curse it. We better get out the scaffold soon and execute this rotten body. First coal heaver. Curse it, I say too. Lawyer to daughter. It's all wrong. It's not the people who are so bad, but the system. Daughter, hiding her face in her hands. This is not paradise. First coal heaver. No. This is hell. Pure hell. The scene changes to the earlier set of Finnegle's cave. Long green billows roll gently into the cave. A red bell buoy rocks upon the waves, but gives no sound until later. The daughter is with the poet. Poet. Where have you brought me? Daughter. Far from the murmur and wailing of the children of men. To this grotto at the ends of the oceans to which we give the name Indra's ear. For here, it is said, the King of Heaven listens to the lamentations of mortals. Why here? Do you not see that this cave is shaped like a shell? Do you not know that your ear is shaped like a shell? She picks up a shell. As a child, did you ever hold a shell to your ear and listen to the whisper of your heart's blood? To the humming of thoughts in your brains, to the parting of 1,000 little worn-out tissues in the fabric of your body? All this you can hear in a small shell. Think, then, what may be heard in this great one. I hear nothing but the sigh of the wind. Then I will be its interpreter. Listen to the lamentation of the winds. She speaks to soft music. Born under heaven's clouds, chased were we by Indra's fires down to the crust of earth. The mold of acres soiled our feet. We had to bear the dust and roads and city smoke, the kitchen's reek and fumes of wine. Out to these spacious seas we blew to air our lungs, to shake our wings, and bathe our feet. Indra, Lord of Heaven, hear us. Listen to our sighing. Earth is not clean. Life is not just. Men are not evil, nor are they good. They live as best they may from one day to another. Sons of dust, in dust they walk, born of the dust, dust they become. Feet they have to trudge, no wings. Dust soiled they grow. Is the fault theirs or thine? So I heard once. Hush! The winds are still singing. We, the winds, the sons of air, bear man's lamentation. Thou hast heard us on autumn eves in the chimney stack, in the stovepipe's vent, in the window cracks, as the rain wept on the tiles. Or on winter nights, mid the pine-wood snows, or on the stormy oceans, hast heard the moaning and the whine of rope and sail. That is us, the winds, the sons of air, who from human breasts we pierced ourselves, these sounds of suffering learnt. In sickness, on the battlefield, and most where the newborn lie, screaming, complaining of the pain of being alive. It is we the winds who whine and whistle, woe, woe, woe. Seems to me that once before, hush! The waves are singing. It is we the waves that rock the winds to rest. Green cradling waves, wet are we in salt. Like flames of fire, wet flames we are. Quenching, burning, cleansing, bathing, generating, multiplying. We the waves that rock the winds to rest. Daughter, false waves and faithless. Everything on earth that is not burned is drowned by those waves. Look here! She points to the wreckage. Look what the sea has stolen and destroyed. All that remains of those sunken ships is their figureheads. And the names. Justice, friendship, golden peace, and hope. That's all that's left of hope. Treacherous hope. Spars, rocklows, bailers. And see, the life buoy which saved itself, letting those in need perish. Poet, searching the wreckage. Here is the name of the ship, Justice. This is the ship which sailed from Fairhaven with the blind man's son on board. So she sank. And Alice's sweetheart was in her too. Edith's hopeless love. The blind man? Fairhaven? Surely that I dreamt. Alice's sweetheart, ugly Edith. Faustran and the quarantine, the sulphur, the carbolic. Graduation in the church, the lawyer's office, the alley in Victoria. The growing castle and the officer. These things I dreamt. These things I once made poetry. You know what poetry is? I know what dreams are. What is poetry? Not reality, but more than reality. Not dreams, but waking dreams. Yet the children of men believe that poets merely play, invent, and fabricate. It is just as well, my friend, or else the world would be laid waste for lack of endeavor. All men would lie upon their backs gazing at the heavens. No hand would be lifted to plough or spade or plane or axe. Do you speak thus, daughter of Indra? You who are half of heaven. You are right to reproach me. I have lived too long down here, and like you have bathed in mud. My thoughts can no longer fly. Clay is on their wings and soil about their feet. And I myself, she raises her arms, am sinking. Sinking. Help me, Father, God of heaven. Silence. No longer can I hear his answer. No longer can I hear his lips to the shell of my ear. The silver thread is snapped. Alas, I am earthbound. Do you mean then soon? To go? As soon as I have burnt this earthly matter, for the waters of the oceans cannot cleanse me. Why do you ask? I have a prayer. A petition. A petition? A petition from mankind to the ruler of the universe, drawn up by a dreamer. Who is to present it? Indra's daughter. Can you speak the words? I can. Speak them then. It is better that you should. Where shall I read them? In my thoughts. Or here. He gives her a scroll. So be it. I will speak them. She takes the scroll but does not read. Why with anguish are you born? Why do you hurt your mother so, child man, when bringing her the joy of motherhood, joy beyond all other joys? Why wake to life, Why greet the light with a cry of fury and of pain? Child of man, when to be glad should be the gift of life. Why are we born like animals? We who stem from God and man, whose souls are longing to be clothed in other than this blood and filth. Must God's own image cut its teeth? Speaking her own thoughts. No, no, no more. The work may not condemn the master. Life's riddle still remains unsolved. Continuing the poet's bitter words. And then the journey's course begins, over thistles, thorns, and stones. If it should touch a beaten track, comes at once the cry, keep off. Pluck a flower straight, you'll find the bloom you picked to be another's. If cornfields lie across your path, and you must pursue your way, trampling on another's crops, others will then trample yours, that your loss may equal theirs. Every pleasure you enjoy brings to all your fellows sorrow, yet your sorrow gives no gladness. So sorrow, sorrow upon sorrow, on your way, until you're dead. And then, alas, give others bread. It is thus. O son of dust, you seek to win the ear of God? How may son of dust find words so pure, so light, so luminous, that they can rise up from the earth? Child of the gods, translate for me this lamentation into speech fit for immortal ears. I will. Poet, pointing. What is floating there? A buoy? Yes. It is like a lung with a windpipe. It is the watchman of the sea. When danger is abroad, it sings. It seems to me that the sea is rising, and the waves beginning to... You are not mistaken. Alas, what do I see? A ship, on the rocks. What ship can it be? I believe it is the ghost ship. What is that? The Flying Dutchman. He? Why is he punished so cruelly, and why does he not come ashore? Because he had 7 unfaithful wives. Shall he be punished for that? Yes. All righteous men condemned him. Incomprehensible world. How can he be freed from his curse? Freed? One would beware of freeing him. Why? Because... No, that is not the Dutchman. It is an ordinary ship in distress. Then why does the buoy not sound? Look how the sea is rising. The waves are towering, and soon we shall be imprisoned in this cave. Now the ship's bell is ringing. Soon there will be another figurehead in here. Cry out, buoy! Watchman, do your duty! The buoy sounds a 4-part chord in 5ths and 6ths, like foghorns. The crew is waving at us, but we ourselves perish. Do you not want to be set free? Yes, yes, I do. But not now. And not by water. The crew, singing 4-part. Christe Kyrie. Poet. They are calling, and the sea is calling. But no one hears. Daughter, who is it coming there? Walking upon the water. Only one walks upon the water. It is not Peter the rock, for he sank like a stone. A white light appears over the sea. Daughter, is it he? It is he. The crucified. Why? Tell me, why was he crucified? because he wished to set men free. I have forgotten, who crucified him? All righteous men. This incomprehensible world. The sea is rising. Darkness is falling on us. The storm is growing wilder. The crew shriek. The crew are screaming with horror because they have seen their savior. And now, they are throwing themselves overboard in terror of the Redeemer. The crew shrieks again. Now they are screaming because they are going to die. They were born screaming, and they die screaming. The mounting waves threaten to drown them in the cave. The light begins to change. Daughter, if I were sure it was a ship. Indeed, I do not think it is a ship. It's a 2-storied house with trees round it. And a telephone tower. A tower reaching to the skies. It's the modern Tower of Babel sending up its wires to communicate with those above. Child, man's thought needs no wires for its flight. The prayers of the devout penetrate all worlds. That is surely no Tower of Babel. If you wish to storm the heavens, storm them with your prayers. No, it's not a house. Not a telephone tower. Do you see? What do you see? During the following speech, the scene changes to the alley of the opera house. See a snow-covered heath. A parade ground. The winter sun is shining behind a church on the hill, so that the tower casts its long shadow on the snow. Now a troop of soldiers comes marching over the heath. They march on the tower and up the spire. Now they are on the cross, and I seem to know that the first to tread on the weathercock must die. They are drawing near it. It's the corporal at their head who... A cloud is sailing over the heath, across the sun. Now everything is gone. The moisture of the cloud has put out the fire of the sun. It is springtime. The tree and the monk's hood are in bud. The stage doorkeeper sits at her old place. The daughter enters, followed by the poet. Daughter to doorkeeper. Has the chancellor arrived yet? Doorkeeper. No. Nor the deans? No. You must send for them at once. The door is going to be opened. Is it so urgent? Yes. It's thought that the answer to the riddle of the universe is locked up in there. So send for the chancellor and the deans of the 4 faculties. The doorkeeper blows a whistle. And don't forget the glazier and his diamond, or nothing can be done. The personnel of the opera pour from the building as in the earlier scene. The officer, young again, in morning coat and top hat, comes through the gate, carrying a bouquet of roses and looking radiantly happy. Officer, singing, Victoria, Victoria. Doorkeeper. The young lady will be down in a minute. Good. The carriage is waiting. The table is laid, the champagne is on the ice. Let me embrace you, madam. Embraces the doorkeeper. Victoria! Woman's voice from above singing, I am here. Officer pacing. Well, I am waiting. Poet. I seem to have lived through all this before. Daughter. I too. Poet. Perhaps I dreamt it. Or made a poem of it. Or made a poem. Daughter. You know then what poetry is. I know what dreaming is. I feel that once before, somewhere else we said these words. And soon you will know what reality is. Or dreaming. Or poetry. Enter the Chancellor and the Dean of Theology, Philosophy, Medicine, and Law, followed by the glazier and a group of righteous people. Chancellor. It's all a question of the door, you understand. What does the Dean of Theology think about it? Dean of Theology.
I don't think. I believe. Credo.
Dean of Philosophy. I think. Dean of Medicine. I know. Dean of Law. I doubt. Until I've heard the evidence and witnesses. Chancellor. Now they will quarrel again. Well then, first, what does theology believe?
I believe that this door ought not to be opened, as it conceals dangerous truths.
Philosophy.
The truth is never dangerous.
Medicine. What is truth? Law. Whatever can be proved by two witnesses. Theology.
Anything can be proved by two false witnesses, if you're a pettifogger.
Philosophy. Truth is wisdom, and wisdom and knowledge are philosophy itself. Philosophy is the science of sciences, the knowledge of knowledge. All other sciences are its servants. Medicine. The only science is natural science. Philosophy is not science. It is merely empty speculation. Theology.
Bravo!
Philosophy, to Dean of Theology. And what, may I ask, are you? The arch enemy of knowledge, the antithesis of science. You are ignorance and darkness. Medicine. Bravo! Theology, to Dean of Medicine.
And you say bravo. You who can't see further than the end of your own nose in a magnifying glass. You who believe in nothing but your deceptive senses. In your eyes, for instance, which may be long-sighted, short-sighted, blind, pure-blind, squinting, one-eyed, color-blind, red-blind, green-blind.
Medicine. Blockhead. Theology.
Yes!
They fight. Chancellor. Enough! Birds of a feather shouldn't peck each other's eyes out. Philosophy. Had I to choose between these two, theology and medicine, I should choose neither. Law. And if I had to sit in judgment over you three, I should condemn every one of you. You can't agree on a single point. Never have been able to. Let's get back to the matter at hand. What's your opinion, Chancellor, on this door and the opening of it? Chancellor. Opinion? I don't have opinions. I am merely appointed by the government to see that you don't break each other's arms and legs in the Senate in the course of educating the young. Opinions? No, I'd take good care not to have any. I had a few once, but they were soon exploded. Opinions always are exploded. By opponents, of course. Perhaps we had better have the door opened now, even at the risk of it concealing dangerous truths. Law. What is truth? What is the truth?
I am the truth and the life.
I am knowledge of knowledge. I am exact knowledge. I doubt. They fight. Daughter. Shame on you, teachers of youth. Law. Chancellor, as delegate of the government and head of the teaching staff, denounce this woman. She has cried shame on you, which is contumely, and she has ironically referred to you as teachers of youth, which is slander. Poor youth. She pities youth. And that's tantamount to accusing us. Chancellor, denounce her! Daughter. Yes, I accuse you, all of you, of sowing the seeds of doubt and dissension in the minds of the young. Law. Listen to her. She is herself raising doubts in the young as to our authority, yet she is accusing us of raising doubts. I appeal to all righteous men. Is this not a criminal offense? All the righteous. Yes, it is criminal. Law. The righteous have condemned you. Go in peace with your gains. Otherwise... My gains? Otherwise what? Otherwise you will be stoned. Poet. Or crucified. Daughter, to the poet. I am going. Come with me and learn the answer to the riddle. Poet. Which riddle? Daughter. What does he mean by my gains? Probably nothing at all. That's what we call idle chatter. He was just chattering. But that hurt me more than anything else. That's why he said it. Human beings are like that. The glazier opens the door and looks inside. All the righteous. Hurrah! The door is open! The deans look inside. Chancellor. What was concealed behind that door? Glazier. I can't see anything. Chancellor. He can't see anything. Well, I'm not surprised. Deans. What was concealed behind that door? Theology.
Nothing. That is the solution to the riddle of the universe. Out of nothing in the beginning, God created heaven and earth.
Philosophy. Out of nothing comes nothing. Medicine. Bosh! That is nothing. Law. I doubt everything, and there's some swindle here. I appeal to all righteous men. Daughter to poet. Who are these righteous? Let him tell you who can. All the righteous are often just one person. Today they are me and mine. Tomorrow you and yours. One is nominated for the poster. Rather, one nominates oneself. All the righteous. We have been swindled! Chancellor. Who has swindled you? All the righteous. The daughter! Chancellor. Will the daughter kindly inform us what her idea was in having the door opened? Daughter. No, my friends. If I told you, you would not believe it. Medicine. But there's nothing there. What you say is correct. But you have not understood it. What she says is bosh. All. Bosh! Daughter to poet. They are to be pitied. Do you mean that seriously? Very seriously. Do you think the righteous are to be pitied too? They most of all, perhaps. And the four faculties? They too, and not least. 4 heads and 4 minds with a single body. Who created such a monster? All. She does not answer! Chancellor. Then stone her! This is the answer. Listen, she is answering! All. Stone her! She is answering! Enter lawyer. Daughter. If she answers, or if she does not answer, stone her. To poet. Come, you see her, and I will answer the riddle. But far from here, out in the wilderness where none can hear us, none can see us. For the lawyer interrupts by taking hold of her arm. Have you forgotten your duties? God knows I have not. But I have higher duties. But your child. My child. Yes. Your child is calling you. My child. Alas, I am earthbound. All this anguish in my breast, this agony, what is it? Don't you know? No. It is the pangs of conscience. The pangs of conscience? Yes. They come after every neglected duty, after every pleasure, however innocent. If there is such a thing as innocent pleasure, which is doubtful. And they also come every time one causes pain to one's neighbor. Is there no remedy? Yes, but only one. To do one's duty instantly. You look like a devil when you say the word duty. But when one has, as I, 2 duties, fulfill first one, and then the other. The higher first. Therefore you look after my child, and I will do my duty. Your child is unhappy without you. Can you let another suffer on your account? There was conflict in my soul. It is pulled this way and that until it is torn in two. These, you see, are life's little trials. Oh, how they tear me! Poet, you would have nothing to do with me if you knew what misery I have caused through following my vocation. Yes, my vocation, which is the highest duty of all. What do you mean? I had a father whose hopes were centered in me, his only son. I was to have carried on his business, but I ran away from the commercial college. Worry brought my father to his grave. My mother wanted me to be religious. I couldn't be religious. She disowned me. I had a friend who helped me when I was desperate. But that friend turned out to be a tyrant to the very people whose cause I upheld. So to save my soul, I had to strike down my friend and benefactor. Since that time, I've had no peace. I am considered base, contemptible, the scum of the earth. Nor do I get any comfort from my conscience when it tells me I did right, for the next moment it assures me I did wrong. That is the way of life. Come with me, out into the wilderness. Lawyer, your child. Daughter, indicating all present. These are my children. Each one of them is good, but as soon as they are together, they fight and turn into devils. Farewell. Blackout. When the lights go up, the scene has changed to outside the castle. The set is the same as the earlier one, except that now the ground is covered with blue monkshood, aconite, and other flowers. The chrysanthemum bud at the top of the tower is on the point of bursting. The castle windows are lit with candles. In the foreground is a fire. Daughter. The hour is at hand when with the aid of fire I shall ascend again into the ether. This is what you call death, and approach with so much fear. Poet. Fear of the unknown. Which yet you know. Who knows it? Mankind. Why do you not believe your prophets? Prophets have never been believed. Why is that? If they truly speak with the voice of God, why then do men not believe? His power to convince should be irresistible. Have you always doubted? No. I have had my faith many times. But after a while it drifted away. Like a dream when one wakens. Daughter, to be mortal is not easy. You understand this now? Yes. Tell me. Did not Indra once send his own son down to earth to hear man's complaint? He did. And how was he received? How did he fulfill his mission? To answer with a question. To answer with another. Was not the state of mankind bettered by his visit to the earth? Answer truly. Bettered? Yes. A little. A very little. Now, instead of further questions, will you tell me the answer to the riddle? What purpose would that serve? You would not believe me. I shall believe you. Then I will tell you. In the dawn of time, before your sun gave light, Brahma, the divine primal force, let himself be seduced by Maya, the world mother, that he might propagate. This mingling of the divine element with the earthly was the fall from heaven. This world, its life and its inhabitants are therefore only a mirage, a reflection, a dream image. My dream. A true dream. But in order to be freed from the earthly element, the descendants of Brahma sought renunciation and suffering. And so you have suffering as the deliverer. But this yearning for suffering comes into conflict with the longing for joy, for love. Now you understand what love is. Supreme joy in the greatest suffering. The sweetest is the most bitter. Do you understand now what woman is? woman, through whom sin and death entered into life. I understand. And the outcome? What you yourself know. Conflict between the pain of joy and the joy of pain. Between the anguish of the penitent and the pleasure of the sensual. And the conflict of opposites generates power. As fire and water create the force of steam. But peace, rest, hush. You must ask no more. Nor may I answer. The altar is decked for the sacrifice. The flowers keep vigil. The candles are lighted. The white sheet hangs in the window. The threshold is strewn with pine. How calmly you speak. As if suffering did not exist for you. Not exist? I suffered all your sufferings, 100-fold, because my sensibilities were finer. Tell me your sorrows. Poet, could you tell your own with utter truth? Could your words ever once convey your thoughts? You are right. No. To myself I have always seemed a deaf mute. And while the crowd was acclaiming my song, to me it seemed a jangle. And so, you see, I was always ashamed when men paid me homage. And yet you wish me to speak? Look into my eyes. I cannot endure your gaze. How then will you endure my words if I speak in my own language? Even so, before you go, tell me from what you have suffered most down here. From living. From feeling my vision dimmed by having eyes. My hearing dulled by having ears, and my thoughts, my airy luminous thoughts, bound down in a labyrinth of fat. You have seen a brain. What twisting channels, what creeping ways. Yes. That is why the minds of the righteous are twisted. Cruel. Always cruel, each one of you. How can we be otherwise? Now first, I shake the dust from my feet, the earth, the clay. She takes off her shoes and puts them in the fire. One after another, the following characters come in, put their contributions on the fire, cross the stage, and go out, while the poet and the daughters stand watching. Doorkeeper. Perhaps I may burn my shawl too. Officer. And I my roses, of which only the thorns are left. Bill sticker. Posters can go, but my fishnet never. Glazier. Farewell to the diamond that opened the door. Lawyer. The report of the proceedings in the High Court touching the Pope's beard, or the diminishing water supply in the source of the Ganges. Quarantine master. A small contribution in the shape of the Black Mask, which turned me into a blackamoor against my will. Victoria. My beauty. My sorrow. Edith. My ugliness. My sorrow. Blind man, putting his hand in the fire. I give my hand, which is my sight. Don Juan is pushed in the bath chair, accompanied by the coquette and the friend. Don Juan. Make haste, life is short. Poet. I have heard that when a life is nearing its end, Everything and everyone passes by in a single stream. Is this the end? For me, yes. Farewell. Say a parting word. No, I cannot. Do you think your language can express our thoughts? Enter the Dean of Theology, raging.
I am disowned by God. I am persecuted by men. I am abandoned by the government and scorned by my colleagues. How can I have faith when no one else has faith? How can I defend a God who does not defend his own people? It's all bosh!
He throws a book on the fire and goes out. The poet snatches the book from the flames. Do you know what this is? A book of martyrs. A calendar with a martyr for each day of the year. A martyr? Yes. One who is tortured and put to death for his faith. Tell me why. Do you believe all who are tortured suffer? All who are put to death feel pain? Surely suffering is redemption and death deliverance. Kristen enters with her paste and strips of paper. I paste till there's nothing left to paste. If heaven itself cracked open, you would try to paste it up. Go away! Are there no inner windows in the castle? No. None there. I'll go then. I'll go. Exit. As the daughter speaks her last lines, the flames rise until the castle is on fire. Parting time has come. The end draws near. Farewell, you child of man, dreamer, poet, who knows best the way to live. Above the earth on wings you hover, plunging at times to graze the dust, but not to be submerged. Now I am going. Now the hour has come to leave both friend and place. How sharp the loss of all I loved. How deep regret for all destroyed. And now I know the whole of living's pain. This, then, is to be a human being. Ever to miss the thing one never prized, and feel remorse for what one never did. To yearn, to go, yet long to stay. And so the human heart is split in two, emotions by wild horses torn, conflict, discord, and uncertainty. Farewell. Tell all on earth I shall remember them. Where I am going, and in your name, carry their lamentations to the throne. Farewell. She goes into the castle. Music is heard. The background is lighted up by the burning castle, and now shows a wall of human faces, questioning, mourning, despairing. While the castle is burning, the flower bed on the roof bursts into a giant chrysanthemum. Curtain. And that is the end of August Strindberg's A Dream play. I hope you liked it. It's one of my favorite plays because it battles existentialism in play format, and I love reading about anything that's philosophical and makes my mind really think. And I think especially when putting it into story format, any sort of theological, philosophical ideals can be much more impactful because you remember them in the context of the story. If you like what I do, please consider following, subscribing. I'm up on Spotify. I'm up on Patreon, as you all know. If you have any plays that you would like to send in and have me read, you can always do that by emailing me at bemuseartsinc@gmail.com. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. And I hope to have you back in Brendan Moyer's Playwright Corner. Thank you.